Hello, and welcome to another episode of Off Card Collectors, where the irony is we generally don't take anything out of the package. On today's episode, we discuss the Chicago Toy Show, July 2022. I am James, and as always, I'm here with my awesome fellow Hunter of Grails, seeker of all things cool, co-host Matt.
How we doing, everybody?
So, this past Sunday, we went to the Chicago Toy Show 2022.
2022.
So July of 2022. 15 years they haven't done the summer show.
Yeah, which we just learned about 15 seconds ago.
Yeah.
'Cause we thought, for whatever reason, 7 years.
I thought it was 7 or 8 years, but 15 years they haven't.
years.
So I know originally we thought that it had to do with COVID.
Yeah.
Shows how removed from it we are.
Yeah. So when we discovered the toy show, I think it was 2019, October 2019. And then we knew that they were doing fall and spring shows, but then of course we did the October show, and then that following spring show was canceled. And so then we've done a couple since. I think this is number 5.
Yeah, I think it's 4 or 5. I think there was just the one April show, which would have been 2020, which would have been canceled because of COVID. And I think they brought it back October 2020. I think there was one in 2021. I think we ended up not going to the October show. I think that's the one we missed. So we're either at 4 or 5. I feel like we missed one.
I think we went to the October show. I thought Chris joined us for that 21 October show.
What it was. I know we've for sure gone to 2 this year. This is our second for the year, and then the third one will be this October.
Second because they brought that July show back.
Yeah. So first time they've done the summer in 15 years. So a little bit smaller, 5 buildings instead of the normal 7. But I think it's summer heat. It's Midwest July. It was a nice day, but after rain, it was a little bit humid. Yeah. So doing just the 5 buildings, I think it was better not to have, rabbit and swine or whatever they normally do. I think that would have been miserable for those.
When we mentioned rabbit and swine,
the buildings outside. Yeah.
Not that they're having wild livestock or not wild animals, but
so the things about those buildings is there's no AC. They're open on the sides. It's covered on the top. But
yeah, if you get a nice cool day like you do typically in April or October, it's probably not so bad. I don't know how July would fare for that, but
just walking outside, from going inside to walking outside, I wouldn't enjoy it.
Yeah,
because I was even sweating indoors. I don't think the AC could necessarily keep up. But
yeah, the AC, it's fine. There was that one booth in the corner on one of them, if you remember. It was like, I'm going to stay here for a minute because that AC was just blowing perfectly.
Yeah, it was perfect.
It was nice. And
I felt bad for anyone that was on that one edge where the vents were, because you could see the condensation building up, and some of those vendors were not happy about the amount of moisture.
Product, man. That's your money maker.
I know. Especially when you have really nice stuff, right? And it's just dripping water.
Yeah. So I think maybe the inner part, not the edges, but the inside setup would probably be better, because those air vents are only on the edges.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But as far as the summer show goes, it definitely smaller, but I really enjoyed that we got to take our time. So we're always on the hunt for what we want, and usually we'll go up an aisle and then come back down the next one, but we decided this year, because it is smaller, we went down the same aisle twice, right? So we went just looking at the left stuff, nice and slow, just looking at the right. And
I like that. Then you don't miss something. I feel like when you bounce, sometimes when you get like a really long booth versus a shorter booth, sometimes you're going to miss stuff.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool to be able to just stay on one side, come back on the other. But I don't know if we'll do that in the future. The thing you run into with that, and I guess you run into that at any show, is you're running into other people. Are you going against the flow of traffic, or are you going with the flow of traffic? What does that look like? So...
Right, and you mentioned the spring and fall bigger. They use some of the outside farm houses, so we might have to pick up pace a little bit, but I think we'll just naturally kind of understand the time constraints and pick up pace. We knew we had that extra time, so we slowed it down. I think. Yeah,
and I think that played a role. But there were times where some buildings naturally you can get through a little bit faster, but I think once you get to the... Is it east-west? I think those are the last 2. Yeah. The east-west atriums. Those naturally are a little bit slower getting through. Tend to be a little bit fuller, and tend to, for whatever reason, every year they seem to have more of the stuff that's up our alley. But yet we always hit those last.
I'm sure it costs a little bit more to be in those buildings, and the people that have that want to spend that extra money tend to have what we want, fortunately. Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah. So, generally speaking, you're talking about 500 to 600 vendors. I think this. I don't know. You probably were still nearing 500. It was pretty full. I don't know how many you gained by not having, or how many you lose by having the outside ones, but there probably was between 400 and 500 vendors. I would imagine. Maybe on the
I would
lower
imagine
end of
the
4.
outside is probably gonna add another maybe 100,
Couple hundred, yeah.
1 or 200. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
someone that's been around doing these shows longer, they can probably chime in the comments to let us know. But
Yeah.
we're still fairly new to the whole. The toy game itself, because
we've been collectors of things, but not necessarily toys in a collecting capacity. Comics or other things, and then more recently, I guess the focus has changed more towards toys. For me, it's been more like reliving the childhood, but I love shows. I mean, we obviously do flea markets and stores and stuff like that, but it's nice to be able to just spend an afternoon in a show and be able to do that.
Yeah, you mentioned a bunch of vendors, and we this year decided to grab a bunch of business cards and stuff, so we'll definitely be able to, I don't know, hopefully go on some trips, because some people sorry I bumped that, I think Ohio was one,
Nebraska.
There was a Nebraska. There's some people that actually travel for this thing.
I remember last year, and I don't know if they came to this one, but I know in years
New England. No, that is Nebraska. Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah, so then I know we've had New York in the past. Lots of cool places, but and we're also talking about, so you got summer. This is the first time they've done it in 15 years, so I'm sure people are already kind of setting up their plan. They've been probably setting up their plan for a while, but we're also on the heels of San Diego Comic-Con, so that was that same weekend.
Yeah, so, I mean, if someone's willing to travel to Chicago from to Chicago or a suburb of Chicago, pretty far distance, why not go to Comic-Con if you can?
So I'm sure there's probably a lot of popular YouTubers out there and podcasters and things like that probably aren't going to have a vlog for you for the Chicago Toy Show. Now, the one regret, so I'm gonna throw this out there early, is we did not get anywhere near video or pictures that I wanted to. I think still this is new to us.
It's shifting that focus from being able to just soak it all in as a collector and be in the moment to we need to snap a picture of this or do a quick. Yeah.
Even though it's like our third or fourth, I still feel like a little kid in a candy shop, and I don't think that's ever going to go away. But we got to figure out a way to take the time to get panoramics, get booths, spend a little bit of time.
Get some assistance, and by assistance I mean our wives.
So we've got C2E2 in 2 weeks, and I think that'll be a nice opportunity to maybe have an extra body do some film work for us, so we can throw some of this and embed it in some of these videos. So unfortunately today it's gonna be more like a podcast. We're gonna talk about some what we got, our haul, talk about some things we liked, some things we didn't like, but it's just gonna be us talking today. I think it's cool. It's a nice little change of pace. So any other thoughts on the toy show before we roll into some other stuff?
I think we pretty much touched on everything.
Okay,
for the most part. Let's keep going.
So what did you go to the show with the intent of looking for specific things, or what did that look like for you?
So this has been kind of my game plan strategy, not just this past show, but or not just this show, but the ones in the past. I kind of have habits of getting into nooks and crannies. So behind me is just kind of a hodgepodge of the things I collect, right? And so I'll get into these pockets, and lately Power Rangers has been my pocket that I've kind of been looking for. Previous show, I think I had my eyes set more on Universal Monster stuff, but I decided to go in there, take those goggles off, and just go in there and go, whatever I see that is cool, it's coming home with me. And this is probably the show that I bought the biggest variety of when it just comes to different brands, different pockets of things I collect, not just DC comic stuff, but Martian Manhunter and Green Lantern, these characters that I enjoy, and some sports stuff. That's so cool. I think I took those, I took my blinders off and really was trying to just, knowing that we were going to document some of this, I was I really want to just love it all. And so I did not go in with anything in mind. I was looking for a couple things. Dragon Shield Black Ranger, Walgreens exclusive from 2019 Lightning Collection, as well as Zeo Green Ranger.
Are those the ones with the gold that I was on the lookout for? Yeah. I know nothing. You'll learn this. I know nothing about Power Rangers,
but it's okay because
I know what I know, but it's not very much
behind you, and I don't. know. I know some turtles, but you're into turtles, and
Yeah.
but you know more because that's more your thing. So turtles are to you, I think, as Power Rangers are to me.
Okay. Which is crazy because, I mean, just talking to you about things in the past, you grew up with all the turtles, so maybe you just enjoyed playing with them, but didn't necessarily care so much about who they were, or that not.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the animated series and I played with the toys. So my eldest brother, he's about 15 years older than me, and he was an 80s kid like you, and so he had those turtle toys. And then my next oldest brother, Steve, had those turtle toys as well, and collected new ones plus the hand-me-downs from Stan, and then just kind of they fell into my possession. I was a big action figure kid, but Power Rangers is what like really eclipsed me. That was my go-to thing to play with. So I did play with turtles from time to time, but Power Rangers where I
That's cool.
so
That's cool.
yeah, it's kind of. How about yourself? Anything that you were looking for, like specifically? I think you changed your game plan from your normal too.
Yeah, so I get stuck in these ruts, right? Huge Simpsons fan. You'll see it all behind me. These backdrops behind us are going to change. I don't know, maybe we'll get them where they're set, whatever. This is relatively...
Definitely changed by if we decide to do seasons, right?
Yeah,
they're going to change at least by seasons, but...
So I went into this show, and I told you, no bigs. I wasn't going to go home with anything big. So that was my initial plan, was
Did you stick to that?
I did.
I think so, yeah. I don't think there's anything outrageously big.
So, and we'll talk about it, but like there were some things that I would have gone against the grain on the bigs. But yeah, I went into it knowing that I wanted to find small stuff. So I wanted to find some of the complete turtles that I don't have, which we'll get into on the haul. I told you, I think I probably mentioned no Simpsons. But you'll see, old habits are hard to break, and I love my Simpsons.
At the same time, though, you can say no Simpsons, but when you see a Simpsons thing, that it's just like you're gonna pull the trigger.
Especially when it's something I don't have, and
that's what I'm saying.
And when the price is super cheap, and it's like
price is right,
yeah,
it's there, whatever. Yeah, I don't
want to add that. But
well,
yeah,
I did come home with Universal Monster things, but that's what I've been going for the last couple of times, and I was like, I'm going to pull away from the Universal Monster, start looking at the Power Rangers and some of those other action superheroes. But I still pulled the trigger on a Universal Monster item.
Of course.
No shame in that game.
So yeah, I went into it I knew I was going to look for some turtles. Really, my biggest focus was avoiding the bigs. My wife tells us we don't have enough space as it is, and so avoiding the bigger dioramas and things like that, or the few that I don't have that I don't necessarily have the space for right now. It's easier to throw a bunch of little things in there, and then always, when you come across, spoiler alert, video games and stuff like that, we like to throw that stuff in. So I feel like I stuck to my game plan pretty well. So we'll see
the game plan other than no bigs was there is no game plan, right?
That's true.
So easy to stick to.
We just love to soak it all in, right?
I know.
Have a little bit of fun, and
I also don't want to try to handcuff myself by saying I'm only going for this, because then you put blinders on and you miss something, or you go, I wasn't looking for this today. I'm so funny, pass. And then 2 shows later you're like, dang, it's twice the price. I should have got it.
Yeah. So before, we like to watch YouTube videos of other people going to shows and stuff like that, and it's funny, there's a handful of YouTubers out there that did previous Chicago toy shows, and we've watched their videos, and it's funny to be like, I don't remember ever seeing that. I don't remember seeing that. So, for example, like Real Monsters, Never on the Radar, super cool stuff. Saw it again at the show. Obviously didn't sell it the first one, or the one in April. Now here we are in July, a lot of people still have that stuff. Food Fighters, don't know how familiar you are with those, but super cool. They're so expensive.
Yeah,
they're just not on my radar. Although I was talking to one of the vendors, and he's like, oh yeah, this guy had a whole car full, all of them on card. And I was like, oh, just out of curiosity, what was he asking? And it was like $250 each, and can't do it. But those are the cool things.
Was Food Fighters like a TV show, or was it just simply a toy line?
I don't know. To me, and I'd have to do more research, I felt like it was a way to compete with like the bigger, cooler fighting type stuff. So your Turtles, your Street Sharks is kind of the feel that you get from it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So comment below if you know more about Food Fighters. I just think they're cool as shit.
Yeah.
So to be able to have a guy, pizza guy, or a burger, or a donut, and he's got weapons, and I don't know, that's cool to me.
Yeah, for sure. Food. I'm gonna look it up.
You're gonna look it up while we're on it. So yeah.
Oh, it was a. Oh wait, hold on. This might be just like something silly. There's a TV show called Food Fighters, but it's definitely. Not the... No. Okay. Never mind.
So,
Anyways.
as far as we know, just toys. We'll do more research on it, too, and we can get back to you.
And again,
I'm sure somebody in the...
Drop them in a comment. Let us know about them. Maybe you are the man that's got the whole set on card. Who knows?
Yeah, that would be a cool thing. So, I guess from here, we can go into... You want to go into the hall? You want to show some stuff off?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. We can show up first.
Yeah. Let's see. You know what? I think I'm going to pull off what's behind me.
Okay.
Really quick. So, the shelf behind me is something that I wanted to really display just the different things that I like get into and just to show you guys that I am like I have my little pockets. Obviously, I can't collect everything.
No.
But, so this one threw James off.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
I've almost never mentioned Dragon Ball Z, and I apologize if there's a glare, so I'll kind of...
No, you're good. Looks good.
So this is Krillin. He's a character from Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball or whatever, and you guys can absolutely tear me apart about the proper name of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, because I wasn't the biggest fan of Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z growing up. My brother Steve, as you know, he's very into it.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I got him is because my parents are divorced, and my Dragon Ball toys are the toys I brought to my dad's to keep there. So I often played with them a lot, and Krillin was always my favorite. And I did watch the shows a little bit with my brothers, and he was just always my favorite because he is, some of you guys out there know, he's not like the strongest. He's not the best by any means. He's like that underdog type of character. I don't want to pick Goku because everybody loves Goku, or I don't want to pick Trunks because everybody loves Trunks. So that's kind of always been my philosophy growing up. Like, Green Lantern's my favorite superhero because not a lot of people choose him. Right? Sure. It's Batman, it's Superman, it's Spider-Man, whatever.
Yeah.
So I picked him up simply for the shelf, and you were like, I've literally never seen you even talk about Dragon Ball. But I wanted it to, I don't know, be a reflection of just things I've been into, not just now, but previously in life.
So real quick, other than you focusing on like stuff that obviously you wanted for your added collection, did you go into the show thinking I got to find stuff for my shelf, or you weren't really worried so much about that?
So I guess I did go like, what I'm gonna get stuff, and I'll probably put some of the new stuff on my shelf. But when I saw him so he was $15, and I don't know much about these figures, and maybe I overpaid. I don't know.
I don't.
But I know that a figure like that generally at the Targets, at the Walmarts, they run you $15 to $20 anyways. Mm-hmm. So I figured I was getting it close to the price that you would get it in the store right there in front of me. I'd rather help out some guy that owns a shop or whatever. Sure. And then it kind of dawned on like, I want to put that on my shelf. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind, but not necessarily like I have to shop simply for the shelf.
Right on.
So, let's see. Let's get into Rocky. So anybody that is into Rocky knows and understands that Rocky is like their figures and stuff. They jump up pretty quick. They're expensive. I want to get figures similar to the size of like this guy here. There's a bunch of them, Clubber Lang and Drago and all those guys. Those are from $50 to $100, I think, depending on the character. And I haven't gotten to the point. The budget's not quite there, and I just can't get myself to do it because, again, when you're spending $60 on something, you're like, I can get this and this instead. And so I saw these little guys, and I've never seen these before. Have you seen? I don't think you've ever run across these for me either.
I have never seen those. No.
So,
which is funny because how many did we see? Tilt it forward just a little bit.
Forward.
There you go. Yep, perfect.
This particular vendor, I think, had he had 2 Rockies, which I bought one. He had an Apollo, a Drago,
and then 2 Clubber Langs.
Yeah. So what is that, like 6
That's
figures
6,
or so?
Yeah.
But these guys, they asked 30, and I think I asked if you can do 2 for 50. And again, this is something maybe I did overpay because I don't. This was never on my radar. I've never seen these guys before. So.
Yeah, but we saw them at one other booth had both of those, I believe, or maybe.
You're right. There was a second booth.
And he wanted 30, so they're probably within the range.
Yeah, and the good and bad thing of like eBay and stuff nowadays is like people are gonna price it that way, and you're probably getting the price everybody's asking for.
Yeah.
Versus a decade, 2 decades ago, you could have gone and someone would have been like, I don't know what this is worth. I'd take 15 for it, and another city would say, this is worth 25, and you kind of just had to gamble a little bit more now. The internet changes all that, so.
But that's the beauty of a toy show is you get two groups, or I don't want to base vendors in two groups, so we're going to real quick. You get the ones that probably know the value of everything. They do the research, they do all that sort of stuff, and then you get the group of people that are they're resellers. They're gonna buy up lots, buy up whatever they can cheap. We ran into guys that just literally just go to Goodwills and things like that and find good quality stuff. So they don't really care what it is. They want to make a couple bucks for their gas and for their time, but outside of that, they might be losing. They don't know and they don't care.
Yeah.
So all right, I'll get you back on frame.
No, you're good. Let's see what else is on here. Another thing that is kind of in the same vein of Krillin, but you probably know that I growing up, big WWE fan.
Yeah.
I loved the Hulk Hogan. I loved Hulk Hogan. Anyways, but this particular character is the Hurricane, which was Shane Helmsley. No. Maybe. I can't remember. Yeah, Shane Helmsley. I think that is right. My WWE guys fact check me. My brother Stan, if you're watching this, fact check me because I know you know a lot better than I do. But he came on the scene about the 2000s. And who's my favorite superhero?
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern. And I think you guys can tell who inspired his outfit.
Tilted forward.
And if I'm not mistaken, the story behind the choosing for the look of the Hurricane was because Shane Helmsley is, in fact, a Green Lantern fan.
Oh, that's cool.
So there was always like an affinity, a love for him. Mm-hmm. Even though he was more of a B card character, he was never really quite made it to the main event. But
does he know he's a B card character? I mean, I don't want to. Let's not alienate the Hurricane here. He knows who he is.
From my memory, I should say.
Okay. All right. Let's.
But I mean, I know he did team up with. I believe he teamed up with The Rock for a little while.
Okay.
But I recently kind of rediscovered my love for wrestling, and I started watching the Broken Skull sessions or Stone Cold's podcast or whatever it is, the visual, the vodcast that's on Peacock. Kind of from time to time do that. So I definitely wanted a wrestler up there. I was looking for Triple H or Hogan, but naturally those are like your top competitors, and so those guys are gonna shoot up in price. And he was, I think, $15, and we were in the last 20 minutes of the show, and I was like, take 10 for him. The dude's like, yeah. At this point, they don't want to pack it up. They don't want to take it on.
The last half hour of the show is when you get the best deals. And, that was something we're definitely going to talk about.
The last hour, I would say, because there was a handful of these, I would say, were within that last hour that I was just, and you got to catch them quick because people actually start about the last hour and start packing
It's crazy how many vendors start packing up early. And if someone can explain why that is, I don't know if, and we've never sold at these, but I don't know if they have to be right out at 3 o'clock or there's some expectation that they can't stick around past the time or they get fined. I have no idea how that works, but it's crazy that the last hour you've got vendors that are half packed up and ready to.
I'm wondering, my philosophy, my thought is probably maybe they didn't do hot that day and so they're just ready to go home. But I don't know. Yeah, so somebody, a vendor, let us know.
Yeah.
I'm always interested in learning about the vendor side of things. Let's see. Power Rangers, I guess we can get on that soapbox now. All right, so Power Rangers. I mentioned the Power Rangers are my Ninja Turtles, right? So any of you 80s people, if you love Ninja Turtles, imagine your love for the Ninja Turtles and then apply it for me to the Power Rangers. That's where I'm at. So this is a Legacy Collection Power Rangers figure. A Legacy Collection was out a little while ago, and now it's Lightning Collection is the big one that they do. And so I already had a similar looking one, and so the difference between this one and the other one that I know of, without looking at the accessories, is his arms are down. Yeah, his arms are down, and the one I have is the arms are up. So we ran into a couple of these, and it's nope, arms are up. I don't need that one. I'm looking for the one with the arms down. Yeah. And that was my tell on which one's the right one. So Black Ranger is my favorite. Again, the reason behind that is I am the fifth and youngest sibling. Okay. Now my sister wasn't really into this stuff. My brother Stan wasn't. By the time Power Rangers came around and I got into it, he was a little bit older. Like I said, he's 15 years older than me. but my brothers Steve and Chris are within a few years of me. And as a younger brother, you never get first dibs on anything, right? So Red Ranger was gone. And originally the white and green Ranger weren't there. So the Red Ranger was gone, Blue Ranger was gone because Chris' favorite color is blue. So Black Ranger is who I get.
Okay.
And then just stuck with it. Turtles, same way. Leonardo and Mikey were gone. So I had to choose between Raph and Donatello, which I always flop between. So they're my two favorites, but Raph is my...
Most would argue that probably Raph is one of the better characters. I would say most people are either Leo or Raph fans. Although you get a good chunk of Michelangelo.
I feel like
there's not a ton of
Mikey because he's just really cool.
There's not a ton of Donatello fans, but
I think his weapon's not cool, right? You get a sword. Nunchucks are really fun,
and, the
size are like at least they're sharp, right?
Yeah.
But then you got a bow staff, and you're like, it's a. Staff.
But he's all brains. He doesn't need that. Yeah. He's all brains.
No, Donnie's cool. My wife loves Donnie. I like Donnie. Donnie's my second favorite. And Leonardo and Mikey are overrated, in my opinion.
Okay.
I said it.
Wow.
I said it. We're getting controversial.
Shots fired.
So we're on the soapbox of Power Rangers. So I'll pull out. I got a couple more Black Ranger figures here in my box of goodies. This is an older toy. I guess they may have remade them, so maybe this could be a newer age.
Is it on his foot or is it on his back?
No, 94. I think 94. Is what it says. I can't really see. So this should be the older one. I think it was like $10 or something. But we ran into one, and this leg was stuck back, and I couldn't display them because you got to think display, right? Like, as much as I love them, there's nothing I can do if I can't set them up. And this guy we've set up a few times, but I'd have to play around with him. So he's cool. I had this toy growing up, this little judo kick or whatever. This guy's another smaller piece. We saw him on card, which I knew if I bought him, this is one of the few things I probably would take off card because I don't foresee them going crazy.
I think one vendor wanted to sell them as a set. He had all the Power Rangers and then the villains.
A couple of the villains and whatever.
And he wanted to sell them as a set. And I think we saw him one other booth where they had everyone bought the Black Rangers. So to find him loose, pretty cool.
Bucks. Yeah, I think $5 or less. I don't know. I don't even know if I should be attaching prices so people can chew me up and say you overpaid. But you got to remember, I was thinking about this, about whether or not I wanted to say prices or not, which I don't really care. Is like we shop in the Midwest, but the East Coast, the West Coast, different cost of living and stuff. So it would be curious to see if that fluctuates price or not. I don't know.
I don't know. But my thought on collecting is prices are all relatives. It comes down to what someone's willing to pay. So if for you adding a toy or a figure or whatever it is for $500, go for it.
Right.
We all have our expensive grails in our collection. That's just nature of the beast. So I'm cool with it.
So I've mentioned now a few times Universal Monsters. That's my not my thing. Became my thing pretty recently. Growing up, loved Young Frankenstein, and so then my dad showed me Young Frankenstein, Mel Brooks film, spoof film of Frankenstein, and then I asked him, can we watch the real Frankenstein? And so that's kind of the spark of it. And recently, I love Halloween, and so recently I really got into that. So I spotted this little guy here, and I'll bring him up better to the camera in a little bit. A little Frankenstein Club Penguin, I think these are.
Club Penguin, yep. Disney.
And then the Mummy. And so I think they were asking, what were they asking, 5? 4?
I want to say they were 3
6,
apiece.
7?
I think they were 3 apiece because you got 4. So we must have done 4. We did like 4 for $10.
Yeah, something like that.
So it would have been 3 apiece, 4 apiece. I don't remember.
I remember we ended up it basically got like $1 knocked off to make it like an even nice, whatever it was. So I got him, which is Frankie, and then the Mummy, and then so we were looking for, and then you saw, and if you want to maybe jump really quick to your character, you saw this guy.
So we got this guy who, he's either a professor or
scientist,
I think
doctor.
of him as a doctor because he's wearing a white coat. The plan's med school, so that's what I'm working towards. So I thought it was a cool ad.
Yeah, so you kind of always had like the affinity for like the Dr. Nicks and stuff.
Absolutely.
And then so we needed that 4th person to really make that deal kind of sound good for the person. And I was like, well, I like polar bears. It's my 3rd favorite animal. So actually I got all 3 of my animals represented on the shelf behind me. But
cool.
So I picked up the polar bear which I guess I should put them up. Man, right here is fine. So yeah, I guess we're almost done here, but I'll get into my DC guys, but really quick.
Universal monster on the back. You got Dracula.
Oh yes. So this is a Dracula figure, and I did a little bit of research. I already forgot what its brand or toy line it is, but they do make a Frankie.
Cool.
I think he runs like $30, $40.
Cool.
So I'll be looking to get him in some capacity somehow.
Yeah.
But I saw him in a bargain bag, $15 I think was the bargain bag, and it had him, a headless He-Man figure or something, and then just a really like not an offshoot, but just a definitely not main character Ghostbuster figure. Mm-hmm. And I think it was $15 for the 3, and I was like, I don't want to spend $15. I would maybe consider spending $15 on him, not knowing anything about him. Mm-hmm. He's like, it's got to be what, 7-8 inches.
Yeah.
Maybe?
But you didn't need the other stuff. You would never create a bin and try and sell it later on. I don't know. And
I had the benefit. It was later in the evening. It was second half of the show. 2-3 hours left. I was like, would you be willing to split this up? And he's like, well, it's my buddy's stuff. And I was like, darn. He's like, he just stepped away. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I can wait. Like, we're not gonna be that far down. I can always run back when I see the buddy come back. But then he just was like, yeah, let's pull it out. That's fine, whatever. Offered him 7. Don't really know. I didn't research too long. I just did a quick Google Lens search on this guy just to see what the name was, and it was like Insight or something. I don't remember. But I got him for $7, so I felt $7 for kind of there's some rubbing on the paint, but this got to be an older figure.
He was stuck at that booth anyways because I was going through all the turtles one by one, so he was stuck there for a while anyways. It didn't really matter.
Yeah, true. Imperial is what's on the back here. 86 is what it's stamped. So
okay.
Whatever it is. Oops, sorry. $7. I think that's a fun little snag for me.
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't know it existed. It's probably my second favorite monster. Frankenstein, I think, has always been my first because of the story behind it.
Right on.
But I always thought being a vampire was cool up until Twilight. Sorry. And again, you can be a Twilight fan. That's totally cool because I'll never mock you for your fandom.
No.
But
it'd be like weird stuff.
Yeah. But yeah. Let's see. We had a couple starting lineups that I don't usually collect. Like, starting lineups to me, the 80s, 90s stuff, a little like, they're older, right? They didn't have the tech as well, so like, even though this guy's Greg Maddux, he doesn't necessarily look like Greg Maddux perfectly, like a different sculpt than something newer might look, right? But they were $2 a piece. It was the end of the day, so I asked 3 for $5, so I got a Smoltz and a Maddux. And then we tried to figure out who this was while we were prepping, and I still don't know. So my thought is, it looks kind of similar to the Maddux figure face.
It's probably Maddux in his
in like it. But then my other thought is he's kind of standing like a coach. So maybe it's the coach from the 90s or something. And I'm going to sound like a terrible Braves fan, but as we mentioned off camera, I became a Braves fan closer to 05, so missed the glory days of the 90s.
That's a 90s figure?
Late 80s, 90s, I think. I did a quick research, and I still get brought up, but yeah, I don't know. I just know the starting lineup was like 80s or 90s, and from what I read trying to find this, I guess they're coming back in September this year.
Oh, that's cool.
Hasbro, I think, got the rights to the starting lineup, nice. So the sculpts you'd imagine be better. So, because that technology is a little bit better.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, and that's just to build with my sports. And I know that, like, this will probably generally be geared towards the toy stuff, but I'm still a sports fan and still stuff I collect, so that was fun to add them to the shelf. Excuse me. And then let's make sure on the shelf I've talked about everything from the shelf. I think I got everything. Then I went and got a couple these Total Justice figures, in my opinion, kind of on the cheaper side, which is really cool because I like the look. they've got that 90s superhero look, which I'm a big fan of. So this is a Parallax figure. I paid like $10 or something. Another similar one around the same time. I guess it's not a Total Justice. I thought this one was. But Martian Manhunter, he's one of my favorites as well. Another, again, kind of getting into the not so popular figures because I don't know. If you like Batman and Superman and Spider-Man and Deadpool, that's really cool and that's great. Like, that's who you like.
Yeah.
And like them and love them and collect them. But, as my brother could attest, Batman is merchandised on everything, right? And so, you kind of fall into these weird things. One, Batman's really easy to find, but sometimes he can be very expensive. I'm just using it as an example. And for me, what's kind of cool about being a Green Lantern fan or a Martian fan or even an Ant-Man fan is they're not made as much, and so it makes that hunt, that seek a little bit more difficult. And not that that's the reason I chose it. It's just kind of nice. Again, I just always liked I didn't want to have everybody's favorite. I didn't want my favorite to be your favorite, right? Probably because I grew up, again, I had to be the Black Ranger. I had to be Raphael, right? And so maybe that's where it stemmed from. I don't know. But I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that.
Kind of, I don't know, more fun to find less common people, I guess. So this is a DC Direct Green Lantern fig. I think this was another low budget one, like $10 or something. Pretty cool. I don't know. Yeah, I like him. Fun fact. The Swamp Thing and Golden Age Sandman were sold out at the time of making this box. Okay, I don't know. I just saw that.
See that
because I was holding it back up.
So that's all. I was like, what was that one called?
DC Direct action figures.
What's it say right above the like above Green Lantern? What does it say?
Hard Traveling Heroes.
Hard Traveling Heroes. Okay.
So.
Okay.
But you guys got to see Green Lantern stuff all the time because he is my favorite. Is it 90s or 2000s? Whenever Justice League Unlimited TV show was out and about, that's when I saw the Green Lantern. John Stewart was the Green Lantern that version of Green Lantern, or John Stewart was the Green Lantern that chose to use for that. So he's kind of one of my favorites as well. But unfortunately, I don't have John Stewart represented currently on the shelf, but I'm sure throughout the our time here on Off Card, you'll see it. And then lastly, this one's got a kind of a fun story. So let me just show it really quick because it's kind of heavy and I don't want to hold it up too long. But it's a 7-piece PVC set
Tilt it forward a little bit.
Of just a bunch of Green Lanterns: Alan Scott, Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner. It's got a Guardian, Ganthet, Guy Gardner, John Stewart, and Sinestro all up there. So pretty much it's got all the main Green Lanterns without Jessica Cruz. She's a newer one, and Simon Baz is the other newer one in the recent decade or so. But obviously this was probably made much before that. So the story behind it, which is kind of cool, we saw it at a local flea, like it's called a flea market, but it was basically an antique building, right?
Their name had flea market in it, but it was basically like any other antique store.
Yeah, because it wasn't like...
It wasn't a true flea market. It's
like
not
when I think flea market, I think it's a bunch of people getting together on a fairgrounds or something, a park, and then leaving.
Yes.
Right? And I think of an antique store being an actual place. But it doesn't matter. It's all semantics, right? Mm-hmm. You can call it whatever you want. We saw that, and I think they were asking like 25 or 30 there at the booth within that flea market place. And they were asking 20, and it was the end of the day, so I got it for like 15. And I think we mentioned a handful of times, original price was 40, so.
Wow.
Handful of times, like, we don't typically take our stuff off card, but this is something I might gently open up, pull them out, and display them. Because it is bulky, it's not going to fit on the shelf. Mm-hmm. And then I can maybe rotate the lanterns out.
But it is autographed.
It is, and I forget who he said, and I know I'm a big Green Lantern fan. James mocked me earlier.
But you can be a fan of the comic. You can be a fan of any kind of animated things they've done or toy line and never care for movies. So you figure it's either going to be a voice of something or it's going to be an actual actor, and it's not Ryan Reynolds, right? So it's not Hal Jordan himself.
So I forget who they are. I can't really tell who it is. They signed it in green on top of green, so it makes it already harder to read it. But yeah, I mean, I would say I'm a big fan, and there's always gonna be someone that's gonna claim they're a bigger fan, and that's fine. I don't know who those are, but that's more or less my haul.
That's cool.
I don't think, other than like I said, the hundreds of business cards we collected to kind of.
It looks like you went to Vegas and they just hand out all the pamphlets every time. Yeah, that's what it looks like over there.
Buy a timeshare? Absolutely not.
Buy a date.
So, any questions about my haul?
I don't think. I think you did a really good job of going into stuff. Everything that I probably would have asked you, maybe I don't know. I know you had a little story about Rocky, and I don't know if you want to get into that on this one.
Yeah, it's a quick story.
Yeah.
So, it's not this Rocky figure because he's in his American trunks.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to mess it up simply because I don't have the picture, the Rocky in front of me. But if I remember correctly, in the movie, white and red, it was main white with a red stripe for his trunks. Okay, so white and then the red stripe. And then the portrait to, like, I think it's Rocky 1, to, like, so Rocky was what, the 80s? Or something, right?
Probably.
So, like, back then when they promote fights, they would actually do, like, canvas paintings and stuff. Mm-hmm. And now it's all digital crap that they do for that. But, so they wanted to make it, obviously, feel like an authentic boxing movie and whatever. And, like, here's, like, the big canvas painted thing to show, like, these are the two men fighting. And so they had painted him in red trunks with a white stripe. So if I'm getting the colors wrong, I apologize. It might be all opposite. But, so the story behind that was... like they didn't have the budget to actually get them to repaint it or paint a new one or make a new one, and so they had to keep it even though it's inverted colors. Okay. And so to sort of like pay, like not homage, but like to kind of just acknowledge it within the movie, Rocky's doing his like pregame whatever, like I think the nerves are getting to him or whatever, and he goes, They don't have my trunks right, and then whoever it is must be Mick. It's just like yeah, whatever. Don't worry about it. Like you got more important fish to fry, kind of a thing. I don't know. So
that's cool.
So that's
So I wonder if they actually made any characters where they have that where it's the where they have the red shorts with the white. So I wonder if they ever did any. I don't know if they did.
I don't know. It's something we'll have to go into
cool.
and search. But yeah, this is just
very cool.
So I'm not the. Again, there's always going to be a bigger fan, but the Rocky films, something I won't say stumble across. I always knew they existed, but I don't know. I think it would have been around high school. I think they were on Netflix at the time, or at least the first one was. And I don't know. I think I was sick, and I was like, I'll just watch this. Even when you're sick, you got all the time in the world, right?
Sure.
So I was just in bed, and I watched Rocky, and I loved it, and then borrowed the other 5 from my stepdad, and then found Rocky Balboa, the 6th film, and then, I love Creed, and I love Creed 2. I like Creed more so, but
cool.
Yeah, in my opinion, I'm a big Rocky fan. And
in your opinion?
So
I like it.
Just one of the few. I don't have a lot of the stories because I guess I've never really researched much, but one of the few things I do know about Rocky is the infamous trunks and doing that wrong. So
it's cool. Good job with the story.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so that's my stuff.
Cool.
Can I see yours?
Absolutely.
I showed you mine. Show me yours.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so we got a mixture of TMNT. We've got some Simpsons.
No bigs.
We've got toys. We've got video games. I think that's kind of the 2 lines that I stayed into. Always looking for those video games. Especially when they're Simpsons, you'll see some Ren and Stimpy, some cool stuff like that. So we'll jump right into it. We'll start with first video game. So Simpsons. Oh, that's hard to get in the picture. There we go. Simpsons game, PlayStation 2. I probably had this at one point growing up. No idea what happened to it.
Yeah, we had Hit and Run and we had Road Rage, which one of them I always forget because they're so similar in a sense.
Yeah.
Vehicles, kind of pricier than the other. but we had them both.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever had the Simpsons game, but Forrest and Danny might have had them.
Okay. So the cool thing about this is, obviously they created the platinum hits and the greatest hits and things like that. And, when they sold those, they sold them for $20 because they had already made all their money on the game. They sold them for, $40, $50.
Yeah, they've been out for X amount of years or whatever.
So was able to find that complete. I'm big if I can. I'm gonna hit the complete in box, especially when we're talking about Sega or Super Nintendo or things like that. So PlayStation 2 Simpsons game wasn't something I had. We'll run through the video games real quick. So we've got Ren and Stimpy's Invention.
So if I'm not mistaken, and I'm gonna chime in really quick if I can.
Absolutely.
That's a Sega, as you can tell, a Sega Genesis.
This is
you
Sega.
prefer Nintendo if you can.
So here's the weird thing. Growing up, I started with a regular Nintendo.
Yeah.
Then I got the Sega. Okay. The neighbor down the street had the Super, the SNES.
Okay.
The SNES is what the cool kids call it. I prefer Super. I had the Sega, but these are a lot easier to find complete. Because it's a hard case.
Yeah, a lot of the Nintendos, if you guys remember, those came in
the SNES and the 64. The boxes are always beat to crap, and then they throw them out or whatever. So even regular Nintendo.
I remember as a child,
mm-hmm.
I just ripped right into those N64 boxes and stuff because we didn't know.
Yeah.
If we didn't know, probably still when I was too young. But
sure.
I mean, that's a conversation for another time. But think about how many things we've seen at the toy show. They're like, if my mom didn't let me play with it, college would be paid for.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
stuff like that.
So
or at least textbooks.
The funny thing about this is, I actually thought this was Buckaroos. I don't know why. I think I flipped through, saw Ren and Stimpy, and just said, okay, add pile, $15.
You got to remember, at one point we've looked at so many things. That this was towards the end of the day, if I remember. This was one of the last couple rows.
Last building,
and you get a little tired, and you're not as hawk-eyed as you were to start.
No, it's not something that I have, so that's the cool thing. But it's not what I thought it was. I thought
you were getting a better deal because that one's a little pricier, right?
I think the Buckaroos goes for double, if not triple, this. But still a good ad. And then something that I haven't found we've been looking for a really long time. Is Krusty's Super Fun House.
Was that the game you mentioned you were playing yesterday? Couldn't figure out.
This is a game that if you actually read the manual and learn the buttons, it makes playing the game a little bit easier. Yes. Watching a bunch of little rats run around and not know what to do with them makes the game a little bit difficult. But this was a cool ad. This was something I don't have. I've got a lot of the original Simpsons games complete in box. I think actually everything I have is complete except for maybe Bart versus Space Mutants. I don't think I have the box for that one. But
any regrets on not buying any particular Simpsons video game?
Any regrets?
Yeah. Okay, so the story I'm getting
what are you alluding at?
Is last October, my brother Chris joined us.
Oh,
and they're both Simpsons fans. Yeah. I will argue James is probably more into Simpsons. I mean, the fact that he's got it tatted on his arm versus Chris, who just collects some stuff at his house. But it was like a... well, I'll let you tell the story, I guess. But
so Chris joined us for the show. I think it was October... It must have been the October show because I think the April show we went just the two of us. So he went with the October show. It was the first time going. Chris is very frugal. Chris likes what he likes, but he's not. I wouldn't say he's like a diehard collector.
And maybe frugal is not even the word. It's more like he's just really good about sticking to his budget.
True.
Like not so much. He's really good about it.
No offense, Chris, if you're listening. But
if he brings $50, that's all he's spending.
Yeah. So really Chris loves his Batman. Chris loves things like that. But I would say he definitely loves Simpsons. Maybe not collecting everything, but where I gotta have everything, whether it's merch or toys or whatever. But he loves his Simpsons, and we came across some video games. I don't remember what two. There were two complete Sega.
Treehouse Horror one or something.
I don't remember which two. Yeah, it was two. And he was kind of hemming and hawing about it, whatever. And I think at that time either he didn't have cash on him or I don't remember what it was. And I just said, you want me to see if I can make a deal for him? And he, I think you got to give him a little bit of a push. So I gave him the push. I went and asked the guy, hey, would you take, whatever it was for him? And he said, yeah. I paid for him, gave him to Chris. And, Chris obviously paid me back. But looking back on it, those are two that I don't have in my collection. And I don't remember what two off the top of my head. Actually, I think one of them was Bart's Nightmare, which I do have. I don't remember what the other was. But being someone who wants to be a completist, it makes life a little bit difficult when you hand them off to somebody else.
I think part of the reason you did that was simply like, we love going, and we love when other people go with us. So you're like, well, let me get, like, Chris, you want it, and with Chris, you sort of sometimes have to talk him not into it, but like get him anyway.
Yeah, maybe if we just give him a taste, he'll jump in and want to come back. Although
and he hasn't yet.
He hasn't yet. So maybe he had a horrible time. I don't know. Maybe he regretted his purchase. Maybe he wants to sell him back to me. I don't know. That'd be cool, right?
Twice the price.
So now we're gonna jump into. Let's just finish up Simpsons. We had a couple completes. These are super cheap things that I'm definitely going to just open. There's a lot of Simpsons stuff. Okay, I like on-card stuff. On-card that's crispy and clean, although this box is actually really nice. You could keep, and I could display on a wall, but my wife doesn't necessarily want the walls covered in Simpsons stuff. So for me to take these 4 figures out for the $6 or $7 I end up paying for this.
I think you gotta get my wife, man.
Yeah, so I mean, it's Krusty World, and you'll learn this. I'm a huge Krusty fan. I think of all the characters, one of the main characters that you're going to see in almost every episode is Krusty the Clown, and this is because these are from his world. I think that's why I jumped on him. But you can kind of see there. So you've got Marge and Maggie. You've got Bart on a plane. Lisa's
on Blinky.
on Blinky, and then of course Homer with his donut, and it looks like a cup of coffee. But why he doesn't have a beer is beyond me. But kind of cool.
Coffee and donuts go better.
This was actually my first purchase, and I told Matt, I wasn't going to make a lot of Simpsons purchases, and I was a liar out the gate.
When you come across, I think that was price $7. I don't think you paid $7.
Yeah. No, because what I did is I ended up getting, and I don't have it with me. Of course, it's the one thing I forgot. It was just a Duff dice game. It came in the Duff can. Super cool.
Oh, you did a little bundle.
Yeah, so I think I got them both for $7, so it worked out really well. The guy didn't have that one priced, and I think he ended up wanting $2 or whatever. So I think I got the 2 for $7 or 2 for whatever it was. So it was a good deal in my book.
Yeah,
I like to open. As far as Simpsons go, I use those IKEA Detolfs. I like to jam them packed full of stuff. I
actually haven't been over since you started putting stuff in there, and I'll have to come by and check that out.
Definitely, we'll get some stuff up
You'll
on
have to
Instagram.
do like a TikTok and Instagram review.
Yeah, we'll do some TikTok
right?
releases. Probably one of those I'll never financially recover would be a good one. So then we have this 10-piece gift collection with a bonus Bart. So that's kind of cool. Let's get that in frame here. So that's 20th Century Fox. That's from 2000. It's got all the main characters. I think the coolest one in here, because there is a Krusty, but you've got, let's see if we can get a really good close-up. You've got Sideshow Bob, and he's got his I Hate Bart shirt on. So I think that's like the coolest thing in there. So that'll be opened up too, because those PVC figures. We can find them. Although I've never seen this bigger one. I'm sure they exist. I've never seen one at a show. I'm sure I could go on eBay and buy them. They're probably a dime a dozen. That's the thing is, we're collectors of what we like, right? There are things that we collect that are super expensive. There's a lot of things we collect that are super cheap, and that's okay because they can act as shelf fillers.
Absolutely.
And I love all the different sculpts.
For a few
bucks to be able to get all those sculpts is cool to me.
I just like the stuff I've got. So you mentioned like some stuff's expensive, some stuff isn't. Like I would say 90% of this is when I purchased it was either like fresh in the store or just like on the cheaper end, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, Jon Snow Funko mini character, like, probably doesn't go for anything too expensive, but I bought them. I think I did get them out of the actual surprise package or mystery
cool.
box, but, like, they're just cool to have.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, I got James gave me crap for not bringing it down and putting it, but I've got a Ghostface Funko Pop, which is now priced pretty sky high.
Almost
compared to the $10 my wife bought it for me.
Yeah, and I think
for when it was like my birthday years ago.
I think Corey got it for me. Corey's my wife. I'll edit that out if she doesn't want to be on the podcast.
Well.
But anyways, too late now. So yeah, she got it's something that I always saw in your collection that I always wanted, and I never saw it in stores. And she got it for me last Christmas, I think, or 2 Christmases ago. I can't remember. And I asked her the other day. I said, "Hey," because I was going through Funkos. We're purging a bunch of them. We're going to sell some off. But I asked her. I said, "Hey, do you remember what you paid for this?" And She's like, oh, I don't know.
I think I remember.
She said it was under.
Yeah,
she said she's like under 100. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
Under 100.
I remember her asking me about it and like what's a good price because I had one, and I was like, well, Alyssa bought it to me when you could still get them in the stores. And back when they first Funkos came out, they were $10 were their standard price. I think $15 is now the new standard price.
It seems to be between 12 and 15. The exclusives, they seem to be closer to 15. But so I asked her, I was like, and she's like, oh, I don't know, sub 100, whatever. And I said, guess what it's going for now? And she's like, I don't know what, $200? And I'm like, try almost $400. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Obviously, those things go up and down, and it's all subjective. And
right. In January, that the newest Scream movie came out, and that's gonna help beef the price up.
Absolutely. So, all right, we'll jump back into the hall here. I guess we'll jump into.
But wait, there's more.
We're going to Ren City. We'll go with the stuff off the shelf. I don't have a lot here that I got from the show because I have everything next to me, but
yeah.
We'll hit up the couple things that I did get. So number one, I'm a huge Ren City fan. My mom probably didn't necessarily like me watching the cartoon as much, because it was vulgar. But she always bought me the comics. And recently I went through and I did not take care of my comics when I was younger. They were not bagged and boarded like they are now. They're all ripped up and torn, and I didn't care.
You didn't know.
I enjoyed reading them. Whoever she dated at the time, I had to go somewhere and do something, so I needed something to entertain me. So she always got me the comics. So when you find a gritty kitty Stimpy with the Swatify action, I think you just kind of have to get it. So he actually he goes on.
So really quick, is that Ren or is that Stimpy? I'm ignorant.
Stimpy.
Stimpy.
Yeah, okay. So that's Stimpy. So he goes in his kitty litter box. You can put him on one of two ways. You can put him on his head, or you can put him on, and he just spins around and tries to swat flies. So this is Mattel from the 90s. So this is 93. So this is the same time that you're competing with Playmates for TMNT. Comics were a big thing. Cartoons were a big thing. Obviously, Nickelodeon, Nicktoons.
Man, 90s were just prime for just merchandising everything, whether it's toy line or dishware or soap, whatever.
Well, yeah, so you talk about the merch side and then you talk about the toy side, but just it's crazy to think about the fact that like 80s and 90s toys are nothing like they are for the 2000s. They were creative. And the fact that they were so cheap, I don't know. I mean, I paid $15 for this. I couldn't tell you what he went for in the 90s. I couldn't tell you what he's even worth. I didn't care. $15. He wanted originally like 25. Mm-hmm. Again, these are the end of the show deals.
Yeah.
So
I was like really quick. Can I interject? Yeah. If I go back to like my Martian Manhunter, you can see the original KB Toys sticker.
Yeah.
Which was $7.99, then reduced to $5.99.
Yeah.
Then I paid a little bit more for them now, but it's just I like when you do find those stickers that are like, especially like you're a Turtles guy, right? So when you find those Turtles on card and you see them reduced at $3.99 at one point, mm-hmm. and someone kept it and kept it pristine for years. Now it's going up over $100, $200, depending on the fig, right?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And I find that stuff all the time with. You see that tons with the World of Springfield line with Simpsons. All of them have those KB Toys tags that are reduced down to $1.99, $3.99, whatever it was, super cheap. But of course, we live in a day and age when that's not what we pay. So this was an end of day buy. The sad part about this is that I had this on my mind the entire day. You get stuck. You don't want to buy stuff. I told you I was going to avoid the bigs. When we went back to this booth, my intentions were to buy the two Simpsons dioramas I didn't have, Homer and a Moo and then Sideshow Bob with the Krusty Lou set. Mm-hmm. Those were the two that I wanted. Here's the crazy thing, and again, you talk about the things you regret. It's not super expensive, but he had 18 on them. He was like, I'll take 15. But they were bigs. They're the bigger boxes. I didn't want to carry them around.
If you look over James's left shoulder, probably about the size of that.
Yeah,
right?
So like a military antique shop. Yeah, so like you got these. So it was two this size.
Yeah.
I didn't want to carry them
around. And it was
our
first. It was if I'm not mistaken, it was the first part of the first building we were in.
Correct.
But I guess maybe we should have known better. Like we usually do a building, then run back to the car. And,
I know better. I don't know. It's
one of those. You'll probably see it again. Maybe not quite as nice of a price, but
it's fine. But yeah, so I figured, the plan was to bundle with this, and It's okay. It didn't happen. You can't worry about stuff like that. It's so common, but it's just it comes down to it's not that it's not an uncommon thing. It's the price.
Yeah.
For the $15 each, you just go and pull the trigger. So, is what it is. At one of the booths that you bought I think you bought a Power Ranger. So I got this Mikey. He's from, I think it's like 2000.
Yeah, that was the booth that I bought the Black Ranger from. Yep. Okay.
Oh, 2014. Yeah, 2014 Viacom. It's one of the ones that they did the special like one-off comics with him. I love the original Turtle. And you'll learn he's my guy. So Michelangelo. And then I like villains. Although you'll see in here, I've got a couple. I've got a Donnie. I've got a Fugitoid. I like who I like. I'll eventually maybe collect them all. I don't know. Probably never have a Scratch in my collection. Scratch goes for thousands, but I don't know. I like who I like, and Mikey's who I focus on. Although maybe someday, I have the NECA line stuff, so yeah. I do have them. But as far as the original Playmate stuff, I'm trying to focus on villains and Mikey.
So 2 quick interjections, if I may.
Sure.
One, like I'm sort of with you when it comes like my Power Rangers. I'm gonna get pretty much the Black Ranger exclusively, but you saw that I have the McDonald's toy Zord and figure thing. Like, and there's a few things that I'll get either the whole team or another of just that team. Yeah. Second thing is, why is his mask red?
Why is whose mask? Oh,
Mikey's mask. It's red.
Well, these are how they did the originals.
I was just making sure.
If there's more to the story.
No, I'm just making sure you're a legit fan.
Yeah, Eastman, when he first started doing them, I mean, they all were like this.
If I'm not mistaken, the reason they did 4 different colors is for like the animated series. Someone could fact check me and totally call me out, but if I'm not mistaken, if you watch like the Toys That Made Us on Netflix, I think they mentioned that the reason they did the 4 things is because they're going to sell toys, and they want them to be different.
Sure.
So parents know that you got to get 4 and don't just buy 1.
Yeah. Because I don't even know if.
And that's why
at the time they didn't even put their letters on their belts, and we collect, but we're not experts by any means, so we're gonna have to look at stuff. Don't beat us up too bad, but obviously,
by all means, throw it in the comment. Let us know, because I love learning new stuff.
Absolutely. So the things that obviously separated them was what their weapons were until they started getting color options.
Yeah, but could you grandma such and such? She's not gonna know. Yeah. She's gonna see a red mask. And a red mask,
and assume Raph.
Well, or just assume it's just one turtle. One guy, whatever.
Sure.
He doesn't need 2. He's got.
But if you didn't say Michelangelo all over the front, if Grandma didn't know that, the nunchuckas were for Mikey.
Yeah.
You didn't see size there.
Yeah. So, but it's just really cool. If you guys ever want to check it out, I think that, like I said, it's on Netflix. Toys That Made Us.
Yeah.
Kind of really interesting, especially if you're a toy person.
Definitely.
You learn those little things, and the toy companies, man, they knew how to sell things, and they got the turtles to change their bandana colors because
that's cool.
An easier way to tell the difference.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll jump right into some of the complete. So everything else is loose and it's all complete. I'm all for finding the random couple of extra accessories you got to do. I don't care if I found something there that was really nice, not chipped up, super clean, and it was missing one accessory. Maybe I would do a quick check and see, is this accessory hard to come by? Otherwise, I can always wait. So we've got Walkabout first. Walkabout's complete. Actually, we're gonna.
Is he a kangaroo?
What's that?
Is he a kangaroo?
He is a kangaroo.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got a complete Walkabout here.
Villain or friendly?
He's
ally.
Friendly. He's friendly.
He looks ally. So.
Yeah. So he's got his little friend, and then
that's what the guy said. He's really cool. He comes with his own little sidekick or whatever he said. Yeah.
And then obviously his boomerang. So he's complete. He has got his backpack. I just thought he's a cool. I mean, he's not somebody that. He's not super popular among the line, but I thought late in the game this was a really cool one to be able to add to the collection.
Looks cool. I love that. So. We recently bought that new TMNT game, Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of those other extra characters. They make reference to the Punk Frogs, and they're in there, and
The neutrinos.
ground beef and other characters.
Ground Chuck.
Ground Chuck, thank you. And who's the guy that's with him? Bullseye? No. Whatever, doesn't matter. But what's really cool is I forget, because again, I wasn't the biggest turtle guy. I watched the animated series with my brothers from time to time, but that wasn't my thing. So I forget how much different like animal people that they made.
Yeah,
like they have
Bullseye, I think is what you were looking for.
Yeah, they have like a kangaroo, and they have I don't know, the bull and a bunch of, I don't know. I love their.
Well, yeah, and late in the game, you're probably running. When the series started to die and they're starting to come up with new stuff, that's when you start getting like Hot Shot. No, not Hot Shot. Yeah, Hot Shot. So he's the giraffe. Yeah, it's Hot Shot. And then you've got the camel, which I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
It's not like Sandstorm or something.
Sandstorm, thank you. Yes. And then obviously you've got like Scratch, and who's super hard to find, things like that.
I love the team, and I understand why you do the villains and side characters, because there's just so many and they're so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'll let you get back to your haul. Sorry.
Absolutely. So we've got Napoleon Bonafrog. So I think the coolest thing about him is, and I wish NECA didn't do this when they re-released them, but because NECA made the 4 turtles basically all look alike, or I said turtles, the 4 frogs all look alike.
Punk frogs.
Yeah. Okay. So I like that Napoleon was actually a different mold, different sculpt, kind of a cool thing. Obviously he's complete, so he's got his sewer gas shield.
Punk frog. Napoleon is.
As far as I know.
Oh, I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, because they're all named after. They're
all I can picture is the ones on the video game that all look kind of the same.
Exactly, and I don't know why he. So unless I'm completely off. No, because you have Napoleon and they're all named after like. Yeah, no, he is from there. Yeah, but why he's a different mold and he looks cool and why they didn't do that from NECA, I don't know. But he's complete. He's got his little fly buddy. His mutant fly, I can't really see. He's not picking up so well, and then obviously
really quick, this might be a good time to interject. We will be posting our hauls, picture of our hauls on our Instagram, so just go ahead and check this out.
Yeah, with the video with the light rings, we're still working through some of that stuff, but we'll definitely have some pictures up on our Instagram as well. So that takes us to we talk about
Mikey's your guy.
Mikey's my guy, and we'll get back to Mikey here in a minute. But how do you pass up a clean Hose 'em down Don with his dog, which is usually one of those things that you never find, but he's complete. He's super clean. That's the biggest thing I look for. Like maybe it's something that I didn't go to the show saying I need to find a Hose 'em down Don, but the first building we were in had a Hose 'em down Don on card for $60. My plan was to take him off card, and we're walking around, and we saw one Hose 'em down Don with no accessories.
I think like $25 or something.
He had like 25 or 30 bucks on him, and so now we're at half the value of on card.
Now you're kind of starting to learn what he's worth,
right?
You might not know.
But now I'm starting to get in my head that like, okay, maybe $60 is a little too much to pull off card. There's things
that's always the question: is what do you pull off card? And what do you?
If I have duplicates of Simpson stuff, I'll pull them off card all day. It's all intrinsic value. It is what it is. But then we came across a booth and. This one wasn't marked, so I'm expecting $30, and maybe he didn't know, or maybe he didn't care. It doesn't really matter. But he's like, "Oh, he's not marked. How about $20?" Okay, he's clean. He looks like he's never been played with. I mean, if he was not roughhouse or thrown in a bin like all the rest of them. But to find that complete, I think is super cool. Mm-hmm. Joints are good. Everything's there. His stickers are. The one sticker is good. So he was definitely a good pickup there. So again, we got away from Mikey. We found a Don, but Hose 'em down Don, he clean. I like him.
Nice.
So back to villains. We'll kind of go back and forth. So we got a complete Rat King. Rat King's another. So obviously in the new video game too.
I do know him a little bit. Yeah.
You know what I love most, and I don't have like any characters that are necessarily going to fall into this line, but like. Just the little things that you don't necessarily notice. So obviously he's got his belt. But what you don't realize, and I'm not going to be able to pick him up on camera probably, and most of you probably already know this if you're TMNT fans, but his belt is a snake.
Okay.
And then this piece that's in front of him is roadkill. It's a run over cat. I mean, the thought process that went into 90s builds is just, it's really cool. They could have easily just done whatever and called it a day, but... this one was really good. His rats were really good shape. Usually those are the ones that you're going to find all scuffed up or the paint's missing or anything that sticks out, right?
Yeah.
It's always going to be the scuff stuff, but those are those
yeah.
rub points. But Rat King, super cool. Oh, this is going to fall down each other. Fugitoid, so now we're going to get back to another good guy. So Fugitoid, complete. He's got 2 in his arm, and then he's got his other 2 pieces. So this is a cool find too. Again, I look at the quality, and is it something that's going to be all beat up or looks like it was played with? And we found one, and his like left eye was like super rubbed out, and he was good otherwise. But I'm like, we'll pass, whatever. But
it's kind of a waiting game, right?
Yeah.
Especially those loose figures.
Yep. So came across a cool Fugitoid, so he's getting added to the collection, which I'm excited about.
Danger Will Robinson.
So
just kidding. I know it's not.
This is probably the cheaper of the. No, wrong. No, that doesn't work. Sorry, I just caught that. This is probably one of the cheapest figures that exists that you can find. I mean, obviously besides like your beat up Mikeys and stuff like that, but this was probably one of the ones I was most excited about, and I'll kind of get into it. So it's so basic. He's so basic. He's a tattoo. Okay. The cool thing about the tattoo is he's clean. He's got nothing on him. He has no tattoos. He's not the stickers, they get all scuffy and nasty, and you get half the carpet on them and whatever that is. But the cool thing with that is I have a clean sticker sheet in the pack. $14-15 for the 1991 tattoo. This was probably the thing I was the most excited about, and we're talking about a $15 figure. But
let's be honest, you either packaged it with something else and shaved a couple bucks off the overall or whatever.
Now, granted, you could probably get them on card he probably was for $30 or $35 on card, but who cares? Like, these things get lost. So
the cool thing, and I've always that's the question is keep them or don't keep them on card, but like they're easier, better, cooler, more fun to display off card. So.
Absolutely. And to find one clean where I can either choose to put the tattoos on them, not put the tattoos on them. Haven't decided. We'll see. It's a mystery. Come back. Stay tuned for another episode to see if I put stickers on tattoo. And then my biggest purchase of the day. Okay. I bundled them with some video games and with some other stuff. So I look at it that I got a pretty good deal on this one.
My personal favorite from your haul too.
Okay. All right. Cool.
If it's the guy I think you're grabbing.
Yeah. Well, it's my last one because we already talked about Club Penguin. So
yeah.
We're talking about Caveman Donnie with his silly Stegosaurus. So we got him. His belt is not on him because for whatever reason it's super soft plastic, and the hole it's all good, but I just could not get the little peg through the hole, and
I remember
he doesn't want to sit on the figure that way. So
as a kid that grew up playing with figures like that, like they were always a pain to put on and then stay on. So
I think we saw one other Stegosaurus without Caveman without Mikey on there, but his tail was broken. So, to get him complete, really good condition. He's got a couple paint things, not even bad at all, but he's going to look super cool on the shelf. I just think this is really late in the game. These are older. I believe, I don't remember what year exactly. So 93. So, I mean, yeah, you're a few years in at this point. Maybe grasping to try and come up with cool stuff. Although I think these were in comics at one point. I think there's a line of Mirage Comics with these, I believe. But he's super cool. This is actually the line that I would probably, if I came across the other 4, and they also did a Bebop, a Caveman Bebop as well. So I love my villains, but I would totally get the 4 turts.
Yeah.
With their dinos and find myself. I haven't seen Bebop, but I thought he's just super clean. He's really nice. So I was really excited about that. This was my more expensive piece to come across, but he was fun to pick up.
So like you mentioned, he might be in the comics or whatever. But like even so, it's not uncommon for toy lines to like take Batman and then put him in a suit that he never had in the show or the comics, but just sell an extra toy. And the Turtles may have done that several times, but like the Turtles alternate exclusives, whatever you want to call them, alternate stuff, super cool. Nowadays, I feel like your alternate stuff's just not as cool.
Well, and you also, you had a period where you've got the stuff that was from the United States, and you've got the stuff that's international. So take Chrome Dome, for example. I think the U.S. got a Chrome Dome that was actually a chrome, and then internationally they got the Chrome Dome that was the blue chrome. So that's an extra thing that you can chase. And I think every character is, for the most part, there's a couple of variations, and you've got your, I think there's like a French or Italian line that have turtles in a different language and stuff like that, and they're cool. And then obviously now, there's always the bootlegs, and bootlegs the knockoffs are making a huge turnaround, and actually going for some value. We saw some bootleg. I think we saw all the turtles, which is one of those things I think I kind of regretted not picking up a carded Mikey bootleg. They go for like $40. But it's cool. Like the paint's crap. They have, I don't remember what name they go by. It's not Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's
it was like Sewer Fighters or something like that.
No, Sewer Fighters is a line, but I think it's like something. I don't remember exactly what they call them. But
yeah, like I mean, because same thing with Power Rangers. So many bootlegs, and then it's also difficult because some of it is from Japan, where the Power Rangers are really originated from. But there are bootleg things, and it's just like
because in the UK, like people I think thought they were bootleg, but like in the UK, like they didn't call them Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They couldn't use the word ninja for whatever reason, so they were Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Yeah, so I think something to do with like for a time comics couldn't use the word zombie unless you spelt it.
And I don't remember what they refer to the turtles when they're it's something fighters or whatever it was. But the bootlegs are cool, and the knockoffs. I mean, nowadays knockoffs, if you're trying to pass a knockoff as real and you want $150, then shame on you. But if you're just trying to
you're recognizing it's a knockoff, because it's so stupid and silly that it's awesome.
We saw someone that had a sign that was selling like the 4 Mirage, like the original Turtles, and I think NECA released them forever ago, and it was like a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. And somebody there was selling, and we're not calling out booths or anything, but somebody had them there, and they wanted like $150, and you could tell it was in like permanent marker, but someone added to their sign in pen KO. Now, whether or not they did it after the fact, I don't know, but I'm sure somebody went by and wanted to point out, okay, they're selling knockoffs and they're wanting and those are newer ones. Those are just a couple years old. So, if you don't know any better, it is what it is. But like, if you're actually legit trying to pass off then knockoffs, it's shame on you. But the old 90s stuff, I think it's kind of cool. So, so was there anything there that you either forgot about or wish you had got or
always? Danny, my stepdad, he got me into a lot of collecting, but he's got his like random little characters from little things he likes, and the 95 or was it 96 is when the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie came out. Created a character called Ivan Ooze, which is the villain, big purple guy, super cool. We found a figure probably similar to height of that Dracula that I pulled out earlier, like $10, a little bit beat up, whatever. But I just thought it was a cool thing for Danny, and I probably didn't get it at the time because we probably saw it early in the show, and I maybe a little selfish with my money and make sure I wanted to have something. Yeah. Make sure I get what I want before I start buying other people's stuff. Because again, maybe selfish or maybe whatever. I totally forgot to go back and find it and pick that up. That's the big one that sticks out.
Okay.
Of course, there's things that it's like I don't have the budget for it, right? Like I always pulling out the Ghostbuster house.
Yeah.
That's so you would like it for the Ghostbuster aspect.
I love the real
would like
Ghostbusters,
it because I took that Ghostbuster house and I played with my G.I. Joes and my Power Rangers and any toy I ever played with. That was always the base because that's what I had as a big house. Because my family, we didn't get a lot of those big houses and trucks and vehicles. So that's always something that might someday be up my alley, like get a clean one.
That Ghostbuster, the house is to me what like a Motu collector getting a original Castle Grayskull is. So I definitely want to add the Firehouse to my collection at some point. I love the real Ghostbusters line, but it's so expensive, and they came out with remakes of that stuff. But that stuff's cool. Anything else? No. The biggest one for me was it was a giant Mikey in a box, in a box.
Yep.
And I think he wanted 80, and it's been off my radar. Again, it's a big, but he was cool, and I think at the end of the day, I mean, we still had the money to do it. But I had forgotten about it until I got home. I think I was actually watching someone else's YouTube video, and it was a complete collection of TMNT stuff, and saw it there, and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. But again, some of these things they're a dime a dozen. They'll pop back up. Although a giant, like if it was a giant troll in a box, those are the ones that are super hard to come by. So I'm not worried about it coming back up. But those are the cool things.
You gotta wait till October, probably. Well, maybe in a couple weeks.
Maybe C2E2. You never know. True. So
one that I want to ask you about, because I don't know if you've, now that it's been a couple days since we've gone, any not buyer's remorse for the Ghostbuster TMNT crossover toys?
Oh, are you talking about the Ghostbuster Mikey?
Yeah. Well, you considered getting the entire set when he had all of them.
I did. What do you want? You want like 180 for the whole set? Yeah, 180 wasn't going to happen.
180 for the whole set or something.
He was the only one that had them. I don't even remember.
I never saw them.
I've never seen them. I can't find them on. I couldn't even find them on eBay even when I looked. Yeah. Probably. I'll probably regret it a little bit. The only thing that threw me off is I'm not a big fan of the new TMNT sculpts. I'm just not a fan. So the thing that threw me off the most was those big bulky feet, the big goofy boot feet. So that's the one thing that I'm like, I don't care about. But I think if it was $30, I would have jumped on them. 50 is probably a little bit, and it could very well be worth $50. I don't know. I'll find them.
But like you said,
not a regret, but it was cool.
Price is completely.
I love seeing the things that I don't know anything about, because we have day jobs, we have lives, we have wives, we have kids, whatever that is. So we don't spend our lives researching stuff. So we're learning what we learn, and toys. We're only 5 years into really collecting toys, and maybe even a little bit less than that. But so
I've always been into knickknacks and stuff.
Yeah.
People would get them for me for Christmas and things. I put them up in my room, but I would say 3 years. 19.
There's of legit
I truly we're going for the sake of collecting a toy.
But I mean, we've done the flea markets and flea market shows, stores, whether it's a retail store or
conventions.
We've been doing that for a while. Yeah, C2E2 and
I might
Fan Expo, which used to be Wizard World. We've been doing those for years. So we're not removed from those, but it was always focused on comics and art and stuff like that. So we're learning on that stuff, but
gotta start somewhere, man. It's fun, and we're in a time in the world where we get to have fun documenting it for you guys and having these conversations and sharing stories and
absolutely
and all that. So I'm enjoying it. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you a question.
Sure, go ahead.
What do you feel like makes a good booth? Because we kind of mentioned a little bit about just some things like knockoffs on the shelves and other things. And what do you makes a booth a good booth versus a bad booth?
So obviously everyone's gonna kind of set things up a little bit differently. The biggest thing for me is, it's so hard when you don't price things. It makes me think that maybe you're lazy. I don't know. I'm not trying to be mean about it, but
I don't want to call out any booths or anybody.
Yeah, it's tougher to want to sit there and want to look at things, because you get one of two things that happens when you have to go and ask for a price. Number one, you're either waiting because they're dealing with somebody else or whatever. I see one of two things. Either, number one, they have no idea what they have, so then they give me a second, they go and they get on their phone. Now, if you need to go and refer to a sheet of things of what you paid for it to get an idea of what you should sell for, that's fine. I don't expect you to know every single item at your booth.
Yeah.
What kind of drives me nuts is when they go to eBay and they look at not even so much what's sold, but what it's going for.
Yeah, that's something in recent, again, you just mentioned we're new to this concept, and you got to look at the items sold. You got to filter it by sold, because you can see there's a Mighty Bean story we could talk about sometime, but you can see let's just make something up. So, off-card collectibles, James action figure, right? And it's selling posted for $75.
Yeah.
And you look at the sold, and all the bids have ended at 20, 25, 30. I agree with you, and I know where you're going, and it's a pet peeve of mine as well.
So and that's fine if usually, generally speaking, unless it's something that we know nothing about and I legitimately want to know what you want for it, if it's something that I know is on my radar, I'm gonna have a decent idea of what number one, what I'm willing to pay, and number two, what they're usually going
for.
For. So I'll know off the top, if it's not marked and you tell me 100, whether or not that's the asking price or that's actually what it's legit going for. So maybe you change your tactic a little and you say, hey, would you take 50 for this as opposed, but then again, maybe I'm overpaying, maybe they'd come back and they're just a reseller and they're like, oh, I'd take $10 for that. I don't know. It just depends on the item, but it's a little frustrating with that. It makes it hard to want to shop there.
And I want to clarify, it's not like someone that just bought a collection that's bringing it with to a show and you have everything else priced and maybe not a couple other items. But like, man, everything is not priced, because here's the thing. I don't mind talking to people, but just because I'm looking at something doesn't mean I'm going to buy it.
Correct.
Right. And maybe that ticks off a vendor and I can understand why. But like, I can accept that like this thing is cool and I want to show it to you and show it whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but it's cool, but not come to my collection cool. Right. And we can, that's what I love going, is just seeing other fandoms that like, like a Street Shark. I'm on the fence about buying a Street Shark. But right now, I just want to point them out because they're cool. I don't necessarily want to get them.
Yeah.
So, like, oftentimes those booths, because they see you looking at them, will be like, $25 for that. Right? And then so they kind of become people that hover a little too much. And, like, I guess that's sort of a pet peeve of mine. And that might be just me being picky or whatever. But, like, just got to pick up an item because I think it's cool and I want to admire it. Doesn't mean I need the price, or that $6, that's a good price. And it's like, I don't, like, when I want to buy it, I'll approach you and we'll talk price, whatever. But I don't know, that's kind of my pet peeve.
Yeah, and we've noticed that more when we go to like we see a lot of the same vendors when we go to flea markets or other events that are not even toy shows. Yeah, you get a lot of the same vendors that probably go to like all the shows, especially Midwest based. There are a lot of them are run by the same group of people. But what we run into is that it's the same things are not priced, or just because you touch this thing. I get it. You want to sell stuff, but like I don't need you telling me what a great thing it is and how it needs to
And I'm all for you being like, hey, I could work on the price, or hey, anything you're looking for, like a quick, because we just entered. But I don't know. But like, I don't want to necessarily go on the negatives. Like some of the good things that make a booth good, other than that, is just that friendliness.
Absolutely.
Like the dude that you bought, was it the Ren and Stimpy Greedy Kitty thing? Like that dude was just so down to earth. Like I had a Ghostface Scream t-shirt on, and he talked about liking that, like when you get a moment to just chat and be cool and be real and authentic.
Absolutely.
Like I love those. Like those are the people. Like I make sure I grab your card because I want to come back.
Absolutely.
So
it's cool. No, I totally agree with you, 100%. So put down in the chat, let us know what you think makes a good booth, or what you look for, or what turns you away from shopping at whatever. Like I'm curious what other people think about that. So let us know. So any other topics you want to talk about, or we want to wrap this guy up?
No, I mean I think we gave a good rundown of the show, man. I wish again we're to get better at it. I wish we had a little bit more pictures and stuff of the actual show. And we'll get better at that.
Absolutely.
But definitely check out those Instagrams, or our Instagram, for better quality pictures of these things that we were showing you on camera. We know it might not be the best vision.
So we're gonna throw this up. We're gonna stop looking at our ugly mugs, and you can follow us on Instagram at Off Card Collectors. Maybe check us out on TikTok. I'm sure you're gonna see some stuff up there pretty soon. We got some fun little videos and stuff we want to do with that. And then, as always, obviously, you're seeing us on YouTube. So, Off Card Collectors as well. We try to keep the same name for everything so it's not confusing. But, subscribe. Let us know.
Subscribe, follow.
Yeah, let us know what you like to look at. What do you want to see? What do you enjoy? We're all about talking about other things. This is not going to be so much a video blog as it's going to be, more of like a podcast setting. But we want to have fun with it. So, thanks for taking the time to watch this, and we definitely look forward to hearing from you and growing.
Yeah. So once again, I'm Matt. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Cool. Thanks, guys.